For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the morning of October 17, 2005, 19-year-old Maeve Callahan left her dorm in Missoula for a solo photo hike. She never returned. Despite an extensive search of the rugged Montana wilderness, Maeve vanished without a trace. For 2 agonizing years, her family lived with the crushing weight of unanswered questions. Then, in October 2007, a horrifying discovery was made in an uncharted section of a remote limestone cave network. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Maeve Callahan and the macabre secret it finally revealed. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Maeve Callahan arrived at the University of Montana in Missoula with the enthusiasm typical of a freshman. At 19, she pursued a biology major, a field aligning with her profound appreciation for the natural world. Beyond academics, Maeve was an avid photographer. Her camera, an almost constant companion, captured the intricate beauty of landscapes and geological formations. Bright and articulate, she often sought solitude in nature, finding inspiration in the wild spaces surrounding Missoula. One crisp autumn morning, Maeve embarked on a solo photo hike, a decision that would irrevocably alter her fate. Equipped with her camera and essentials, she headed for a popular, rugged section of the limestone cave network just outside Missoula. It was a place she believed she knew well enough for a solitary excursion, a labyrinth promising dramatic photographic opportunities. She informed her roommate of her plans, mentioning an expected return by late afternoon. The last confirmed sighting of Maeve placed her near the main entrance to the cave system around mid-morning. She exchanged a brief greeting with another hiker. As evening approached, Maeve's typical return window closed. Her roommate initially dismissed the delay, attributing it to Maeve's absorption in photography. However, as darkness enveloped Missoula, unease grew. Calls to Maeve's mobile phone went unanswered, ringing out into the vast, silent wilderness. By 10 o'clock that night, unease escalated into genuine alarm. Friends unable to reach her contacted dormitory staff. A check confirmed Maeve had not returned. Calls then went to her family, their concern quickly morphing into panic. The first official missing person report was filed. Within hours, a preliminary search commenced. Law enforcement, assisted by volunteers, began a frantic sweep of the immediate area around the cave network, focusing on trails Maeve was known to frequent. Flashlights cut through the blackness, voices echoed, but the wilderness offered no immediate answers. The search continued into the early hours, yielding only the chilling silence of the Montana night. The immediate, frantic search for Maeve Callahan transitioned quickly into a formal investigation. The county sheriff's department in Missoula took command, mobilizing significant resources as dawn broke over the limestone hills. Search and rescue teams, comprising both professional responders and dedicated local volunteers, fanned out across the vast, rugged terrain. The early involvement of experienced cave rescue personnel, coordinated by specialists familiar with the region's subterranean complexities, highlighted the immediate understanding that Maeve's disappearance might involve the labyrinthine cave system itself. These specialists, accustomed to the unique dangers of the environment, advised on strategic approaches to the challenging subterranean landscape. The landscape presented a formidable challenge, one that quickly tested the endurance and resolve of every searcher. The limestone cave network outside Missoula was a sprawling, ancient formation characterized by treacherous sinkholes, hidden crevices, and an intricate web of passages, some known, many uncharted. Its stark beauty was undeniable, but its dangers were equally profound, making any search operation painstakingly slow, inherently perilous, and physically exhaustive. Teams meticulously scoured known trails, rappelled into accessible shafts, and painstakingly examined every visible rock formation and crevice, hoping for any sign of the missing student. The sheer scale of the wilderness and the geological complexities made finding a single individual an almost impossible task. Investigators simultaneously initiated a comprehensive canvassing effort. Neighbors, fellow students, and anyone who might have seen Maeve in the days leading up to her disappearance were interviewed. their statements meticulously recorded. Leads, however minor, were pursued with urgency. A discarded water bottle near a trail entrance, a fleeting report of a nondescript car seen idling nearby, a distant hiker who thought they saw someone matching Maeve's description. Each was investigated, only to lead to a frustrating dead end. The initial flurry of information produced no concrete clues, no definitive direction for the inquiry, leaving investigators to grapple with a void of meaningful data. Despite extensive ground and aerial searches, which expanded daily to cover wider perimeters, and repeated exhaustive forays into every accessible cave entrance and chamber, no trace of Maeve Callahan or her belongings was found. Her camera, her backpack, even a single item of clothing remained undiscovered. The obvious avenues of investigation began to exhaust themselves, yielding nothing but frustration. The Missoula community held its breath, but as days turned into weeks, the vastness of the Montana wilderness seemed to swallow Maeve Callahan whole, leaving only unanswered questions and a growing sense of despair. The initial hope, though fiercely guarded, began to recede, replaced by a grim reality. Weeks bled into months, each passing day deepening the void left by Maeve Callahan's disappearance. The initial urgency, fueled by the hope of a quick discovery, slowly eroded under the relentless march of time. A full year passed since the 19-year-old biology student vanished into the Montana wilderness, yet no credible lead, no fragment of evidence had emerged to explain her fate. The vast limestone cave network, once a beacon of natural beauty, now seemed to mock investigators with its impenetrable silence. The Missoula community, initially united in its desperate search, began to feel the heavy weight of an unsolved mystery, a shadow cast over their collective consciousness. As the calendar pages turned, the extensive active search efforts inevitably scaled back. The considerable resources initially deployed by the county sheriff's department, including specialized teams, canine units, and countless dedicated volunteers, could not be sustained indefinitely. Helicopters ceased their daily patrols, and ground teams, once numbering in the hundreds, dwindled to a skeletal crew. Hope, once a driving force, dwindled with each fruitless sweep of the cave system and the surrounding rugged terrain. The investigation transitioned from an active search operation to a prolonged missing person case, filed away but never officially closed, awaiting a breakthrough that seemed increasingly unlikely. Without new information or tangible clues, the active pursuit of Maeve's whereabouts became a reactive waiting game, a vigil maintained by a select few. The initial public outcry and fervent media attention that accompanied Maeve's vanishing gradually faded. Local news reports, once dominated by appeals for information and daily updates on search efforts, shifted to other stories, replaced by the mundane and the immediate. The posters bearing Maeve's photo, her bright smile a stark contrast to the grim reality, once ubiquitous across Missoula, became weathered and torn, eventually removed by the elements or by property owners. The tragedy, while still remembered by many, receded into the background noise of daily life. Another unsolved puzzle in a world full of them, a cautionary tale whispered among hikers. For Maeve's family, however, there was no fading, no moving on. The passage of time brought only prolonged suffering and an agonizing uncertainty that gnawed at their very core. Each sunrise brought renewed, fragile hope, each sunset a crushing disappointment as another day ended without answers. They lived in a perpetual state of limbo, unable to grieve fully without a body, unable to find closure without understanding what had transpired. The official designation of the case as cold offered no solace, only the grim reality that their daughter's disappearance had become a file in a cabinet, her story unfinished, her fate unknown. The mountains held their secret, and Maeve Callahan remained lost, a haunting presence in the Missoula landscape. 2 years had passed since Maeve Callahan vanished into the Montana landscape, a period marked by persistent grief and an absence of answers. The case, though never closed, had settled into the grim category of unresolved mysteries. Then, in the late autumn, the silence was shattered. Within the vast, intricate limestone cave network outside Missoula, the very place Maeve was last seen, a ghastly discovery was made. Her body, the 19-year-old biology student, was finally located, not by a search party, but by an independent spelunker exploring a lesser-known passage. The scene that unfolded before the first responders was profoundly disturbing, defying conventional understanding. Maeve Callahan's remains lay within a cavern, not as they might have been after 2 years of exposure, but remarkably preserved. Her form was encased in a thick, translucent layer of paraffin wax, granting her an unnatural, almost sculptural appearance. Surrounding her were numerous display figures, mannequins arranged in static poses, some draped in fabric, others bare, creating a bizarre tableau. This was no natural resting place, but a carefully curated macabre exhibit, a shuttered spelunking art project, as early reports would describe it, hidden deep within the earth. The county sheriff and a full contingent of forensic teams descended upon the site with immediate urgency. The horror of the discovery was palpable. The complexity of the scene instantly recognized. This was not a simple recovery. It was a crime scene of unparalleled strangeness, demanding meticulous processing. Every detail, from the ambient temperature of the cave to the precise arrangement of the mannequins, became critical. The presence of the wax, in particular, raised immediate questions that fundamentally altered the direction of the investigation. Its application suggested intent, a deliberate act of preservation and display. In light of the body's unique condition, investigators revisited every piece of evidence from the initial missing person report, searching for anything that might now hold new significance. A seemingly innocuous item, catalogued during the initial search of Maeve's dorm room, suddenly became a shocking, critical clue. Tucked away in a storage bin beneath textbooks and personal effects was a crumpled hardware store receipt. The date on the receipt predated Maeve's disappearance by several weeks. The purchased item listed was museum-grade microcrystalline wax. Its prior insignificance transformed into a chilling detail, directly linking to the bizarre circumstances of the discovery and suggesting a connection Maeve herself might have had, however unwitting, to the very substance used in her macabre preservation. The discovery of Maeve Callahan's body, preserved in wax amidst mannequins within the Missoula cave network, fundamentally shifted the entire trajectory of the investigation. What had been a cold missing person case, slowly fading from public memory, was now a perplexing homicide, demanding immediate, intense scrutiny. The questions were no longer about Maeve's whereabouts, but about who could commit such an act and why. The county sheriff's department found itself grappling with a crime scene unlike any they had encountered, one that challenged conventional forensic understanding. The cave itself became a sprawling, delicate crime scene. Forensic specialists meticulously documented every inch of the cavern where Maeve was found. The body, encased in paraffin, underwent extensive examination. Experts analyzed the chemical composition of the wax, seeking clues to its origin and application method. Each mannequin was catalogued, photographed, and carefully removed, their materials scrutinized for identifying marks or manufacturing specifics. The art project arrangement was deconstructed with painstaking precision, hoping to discern patterns or intent from the perpetrator's bizarre staging. Trace evidence collection was paramount, with every fiber, hair, or soil sample potentially holding a crucial link. The hardware store receipt found in Maeve's dorm bin listing museum-grade microcrystalline wax became a central piece of the puzzle. Investigators immediately focused on tracing its purchase. They visited the specific hardware store named on the receipt, interviewing staff and reviewing sales records from the period preceding Maeve's disappearance. The owner, initially perplexed, cooperated fully, though memories of a specific transaction from 2 years prior were understandably vague. Similar inquiries were extended to other local hardware and art supply stores in Missoula, hoping to identify any other sales of such a specialized product, which was not a common household item. To understand the deeply unusual context of the scene, investigators consulted an art professor at the University of Montana. The professor, presented with photographs of the cave tableau, offered insights into the potential conceptual underpinnings of such an installation. While acknowledging the macabre nature, they discussed the history of human figures in art, the use of unconventional materials, and the psychological motivations that might drive an artist to create such a hidden, personal exhibition. Their expertise helped frame the perpetrator's actions within a broader, albeit disturbing, artistic context, suggesting a deliberate, perhaps obsessive, creative process. Simultaneously, the investigation turned to the practicalities of the cave network itself. Who knew of this particular secluded cavern? Who had the means and knowledge to transport mannequins and wax deep into an unlit, challenging subterranean environment? The county sheriff's department collaborated closely with the cave rescue coordinator, who possessed an intimate knowledge of the Missoula cave systems. The coordinator provided detailed maps, identified known spelunking groups, and discussed the various access points, both official and unofficial, to the vast network. This collaboration aimed to narrow the pool of individuals possessing the specialized skills and equipment necessary to orchestrate such an elaborate installation, suggesting a perpetrator intimately familiar with the cave's secrets. 2 years after Maeve Callahan's disappearance, and weeks into the renewed investigation following the discovery of her body, a crucial, unexpected breakthrough emerged from the very depths of the Missoula cave system. Independent of the ongoing police efforts, a dedicated spelunker couple had undertaken an ambitious project, systematically mapping previously uncharted areas of the vast limestone network. Their meticulous exploration led them deeper into a section considered too unstable or simply too remote for casual entry, pushing the boundaries of known passages. During one of their arduous expeditions, their mapping efforts brought them to a previously unrecorded crawl space, a narrow, constricting passage that opened into a larger, isolated chamber. It was here, within this secluded space, that they noticed something peculiar. The rock surfaces, particularly the floor, exhibited faint, almost imperceptible abrasions and unusual residue. While not immediately alarming, the pattern suggested repeated heavy movement inconsistent with natural erosion or typical spelunking traffic. Recognizing the potential significance of any anomaly in such a remote area, they carefully documented their findings and promptly alerted the county sheriff's department. Acting swiftly on the spelunker couple's information, investigators, accompanied by forensic specialists, returned to the cavern where Maeve's body had been discovered. Equipped with specialized UV scanning equipment, they began a methodical examination of the surrounding areas, particularly the newly identified crawl space and the pathways leading to the art project site. The UV light, cutting through the absolute darkness, revealed what ordinary illumination could not. The scans spectacularly illuminated a series of distinct hidden trails. These were not natural markings, but linear streaks and scuff marks, fluorescing under the ultraviolet light, clearly indicating the repeated transport of heavy objects. The patterns led directly from the uncharted crawl space, through interconnecting passages, and into the cavern where Maeve's body and the mannequins had been found. Crucially, the residue left behind by the transported items, visible only under UV, matched materials consistent with those found at the macabre scene. This was the definitive breakthrough, connecting the isolated subterranean art project to an external, identifiable location. The UV evidence revealed transport streaks from a prop warehouse to the cavern, indicating regular, deliberate movement of materials. The discovery of these hidden trails provided the first concrete link to a potential perpetrator. The prop warehouse, now identified as the origin point for the transported materials, offered a tangible lead. Investigators immediately shifted their focus, initiating inquiries into its ownership, its inventory, and its clientele. This external location not only explained the origin of the display figures and potentially the museum-grade microcrystalline wax, but also provided a critical avenue for identifying the individual or individuals who had the means, motive, and access to orchestrate such a chilling and elaborate crime. The long-held secrets of the Missoula caves were finally beginning to yield their truth. The trail from the prop warehouse, illuminated by the UV scans, proved swift and decisive. Investigators immediately served search warrants, meticulously examining the facility. Records indicated the warehouse was owned and operated by a local sculptor, Arthur Grimshaw, a recluse known for his unusual large-scale installations and a former student of the art professor previously consulted. The discovery of numerous mannequins matching those found in the cave, along with bulk containers of museum-grade microcrystalline wax and specialized heating equipment, provided overwhelming circumstantial evidence. Confronted with the irrefutable links, Arthur Grimshaw was apprehended without incident. Under interrogation, the full disturbing narrative of Maeve Callahan's final moments and Grimshaw's motivations began to unravel. Grimshaw confessed to abducting Maeve during her solo hike. Driven by a twisted artistic vision, he had lured her deeper into the cave system, overpowering her and transporting her to his hidden subterranean gallery. His intent was not murder in the conventional sense, but a macabre act of preservation, transforming her into the central eternal figure of his ultimate art project. The paraffin wax, carefully applied, was his medium for immortality, a grotesque homage to what he perceived as natural beauty. The mannequins, his silent audience, bore witness to his obsession. Maeve, tragically, had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time, an unwitting subject for his dark masterpiece. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community of Missoula. The resolution of Maeve's disappearance, after 2 agonizing years, brought a grim sense of closure, yet the details of her fate were almost too disturbing to comprehend. The idea that such a heinous act could occur in their beloved wilderness, perpetrated by someone who moved among them, left an indelible mark of unease. County Sheriff Miller, reflecting on the case, spoke of the profound strangeness of the crime, admitting it defied all conventional criminal profiles. The cave rescue coordinator acknowledged the crucial role of the independent spelunkers, whose diligent mapping efforts ultimately led to the breakthrough. Professor Thorne, the art professor, grappled with the perversion of artistic expression, noting the fine line between creativity and pathology. Even the surplus store owner, who had unknowingly sold the wax, expressed a deep sadness, the everyday transaction now imbued with tragic significance. Justice, in the form of Arthur Grimshaw's conviction and life sentence, was served. However, the memory of Maeve Callahan, the young student, vanished. Her body, waxed and arrayed among mannequins in a hidden cave, would forever endure as a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, even in the most beautiful of places.